Thurgood Marshall.
And what did he do?
He was a lawyer for the NAACP and a Supreme Court justice.
And what's your project represent?
It's a memorial because he was an important leader during the Civil Rights Movement.
Mm-hmm.
And the tree represents the time when he was pulled over by white police because he was apparently driving intoxicated, but he really wasn't. And so they're actually going to take him to a hill where the KKK was waiting in the
My person was Viola Lezo, and she was a girl, and she helped in the march to the Capitol in Montgomery, and she was white too, and and she helped, and she was killed by the KKK because she helped all the black people march to the Capitol, and she was driving in a car with a black man, and so they killed her because of that too, and she was the first white woman to help with the march to the Capitol.
Fannie Lou Hamer helped over 63,000 African Americans to vote. She also worked in improving her community, furthering childhood education, and raised money for lower cost housing. Hamer went to jail, was beaten just so she could help others. She was a hero and very much appreciated.
Go. Alright, this is Ernest Green. He graduated from Central High School. What makes him unique is that he is the first black man to graduate from an all-white school. Even after several death threats during his graduation, he still had the courage to get up and get his diploma, and he was inspired by Martin Luther to continue on even though he was bullied throughout high school. And my project pretty much represents an auditorium. He's up on the stage right now getting his diploma, and that's about it.
This is Rosa Parks. She's known as the mother of the civil rights movement. What she's best known for is sitting in the front of a bus and not moving when a white man told her to move. And she went to jail for it. She did not pay her fine. And that's about it.
So we had Stokely Carmichael, and what he did was he was a motivational speaker for African Americans through the civil rights movement. And basically this just shows him speaking to the African Americans, like how to boost their confidence. So
Diane Nash, who was a civil rights activist during the civil rights movement, she participated in sit-ins and protests. She was a co-leader of the SNCC and one of her promoting civil rights movement. And her most prominent heroic act was the Rock Hill sit-in in February of 1961. This was where 9 black students were arrested in a sit-in demonstration in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And Nash and 3 others decided to join the students in jail. So they had their own sit-in, were immediately arrested, and instead of paying the $100 bail, spent 30 days in jail.
An all-white school.
Our person was John Lewis. He was a civil rights student leader and the chairman for the SNCC. John Lewis had a huge impact on the civil rights movement. He started getting involved in civil rights by attending sit-ins in his early 20s. Not long after that, he got quite involved in the movement. He even made memos about the do's and don'ts of nonviolent protesting. He faced arrest many times. He was quite often beaten by white authorities, wrongly, of course. He became a student leader in the movement not long after he got involved. He gave speeches to large crowds on the subject as well. And I believe Mr. Lewis's greatest heroic act was his involvement during the march on Washington, D.C. Though he had many great accomplishments, I believe this one is his most prominent one. By this time, he was only 23 years old. He had also been arrested 20 times. During this march, he gave a bold and courageous speech about better pay for blacks, protection from the police brutality, and voting rights. He gave the speech to nearly 250,000 people that day. This was, in my opinion, the single greatest achievement during the civil rights movement.
Stokely Carmichael. He created Black Power. He fought for Black Power. He was arrested 27 times.
just because he was black and fighting for his own rights. He sat in on freedom rides, he did everything he could, and it created black power. This is a revolutionary man. A man like this only comes upon once in a million years. And that's why Stokely Carmichael is the greatest person to ever live on the face of this earth. My case is rested.
Alright, Viola Louise. Alright, Viola, she was shot because she was giving a black man a ride home. And in the car next to him is 3 KKK members and an FBI member who they intentionally shot. And she helped with the civil rights movement.
Our hero is James Meredith. He's the first black man to graduate from Mississippi University. We have here outside James Meredith and about 2,000 white people rallying on his graduation. And that's why James Meredith is a good hero.
Our person is Rosa Parks, and she was arrested because she didn't give up her seat to a white man on a bus, and that started a movement.
There were so many ways that Thurgood Marshall was involved in the civil rights movement, but the number one thing he is remembered for is the Brown versus Board of Education case in 1945. This case was a Supreme Court rule that school segregation was unconstitutional. This case was a very big case when it came to blacks and whites being segregated in schools. The Brown versus Board of Education was also Marshall's most prominent heroic act. He won 29 out of 32 cases that he argued in front of the Supreme Court. President Lyndon B. Johnson made Marshall one of the 9 Supreme Court justices in 1967.
Our guy is John Lewis. He was a civil rights marcher. He spoke in front of 2,500 or 250,000 Americans. He marched to Selma to help protest against the beating and a killing of an African American. And then once they left Selma to go to Montgomery, Alabama, he took a beating by state troopers, and then after that he joined a enlarged group to protest again, to march to Washington to protest again, and he was caught walking across the bridge by state troopers, and he got shot and died and killed.
Our project was on Ernest Green. He was the first African-American student to attend an all-white high school. He went to Central High. He started there in the year of 1957, and he graduated in 1958. He had a special graduation ceremony because Mr. Martin Luther King Jr.